So what's Garuvia's mission tree then? That's pretty hefty too. Blimey. Resettling things, weakening the empire, growing territories, rebuilding stuff. Parlay with the Magisterium. Get the Midnight Monarchy, which is basically the vampires taking over, right? Yeah. Maximum Absolutism plus 30, Monarch Admin Skill plus 1, Reform Progress minus 10, Vampire Loyalty plus 10. Magical Elite, so magical vampires. With even more absolutism. And now we're in the Age of the Witch Kings. Absolutism is a thing. Although they still have a minus 30. Why? Oh, Vampire Law, State Collusion, Masquerade minus 20. Blood Court minus 10. They have lots of estate privileges. So even though they have the plus 30 from the Midnight Monarchy, they're still not a very absolute nation. Midnight Monarchy is a bit underwhelming. Because if we take a look at the Vampire Estate... If we take a look at the... Vampire Law and Vampire Organization. Okay, so this doesn't work the same way as the Artificers or the Adventurers, where you can see the different levels. I'm guessing these just get overwritten as you change them. Probably through decisions? So the state knows about the vampires. And the Blood Court is in charge. And you can have outcast vampires. Interesting. Meanwhile, Adenica, their capital, is currently under siege. I think we just missed another battle. Yes. And the Ram Dwarves are fighting someone again. Who are you up against? Osla Mazdir. Finishing off these guys, expanding territories into that. So we've got two great dwarven nations, Oftel Khanzad and then Osla Mazdir. Osla Mazdir still being very neutral. In fact, you are Osla Mazdir. What I meant to say was you're up against Taraz Odlam and Krasdumvor. Finally moving into the northern reaches. And in fact, both of them seem to be well, no. I'll say that Oftel Khanzad is currently lying on the side of the Phoenix Empire, and Osla Mazdir has been completely neutral this entire time. Walking a fine line of balance between the two factions. Meanwhile, Krynvar has lost basically all of their manpower. They are now going to be tapping into the army professionalism. Adenica still with 37,000 manpower, out of professionalism. Marhold, out of professionalism, out of manpower. And going to have a disaster. Thrall disaster. I really want to see another battle between these guys, because I want to see if Marhold and Adenica have kind of got their act together in terms of just inflicting huge casualties. Come on, get into another fight. Get into another fight! Those mercenaries. We would need to be looking at Adenica to find that out. Yes, they are. Berserkers! The Rohibon Freelancers. Cavalry combat ability shock damage. Shock damage on Berserkers who already do a 4-2. That's pretty powerful. These bars, they bend and twist before my Berserker strength. Now you will! Now! Ooh, you are a smart one. I understand now. You said what you said just to make me mad. Mad enough to break free. Ha ha! You are as smart as Boo sometimes. Name that game. Many bonus points for whoever names that game. Alright, so we have got the Battle of Upcreek. We have got Marhold fighting primarily against Krionvarth, though I am not seeing any stats right now. Here we go. 2,000 losses during the fire phase against 1,500, but as soon as we switch to the shock phase, it is 1,000 for 1,000. We have a Marhold army coming in to intercept another of the Krionvar forces. Krionvar armies are all back here. It's like Helena's fighting this with her hand tied behind her back. Meanwhile, we've got Adenica coming in with some reinforcements. Marhold taking the -1. Walter II, who is a mage with a shock of 9 against a shock of 6. 3,000 damage taken during the fire phase. And then 4,400 done during the shock phase. 5,000. So those shock phase, it's just such a switch. 9,000! 6,000! Okay, ow. As soon as the cavalry gets amongst the artillery, it's over. Like 9k in its damage there. Crazy. Heard about the 6k damage per tick in the shock phase, so I'd like to see that. Well, that was a 10k damage during the shock phase. So, there. Admittedly, that was when the artillery was in the front row. They take double damage. Madness. But we can definitely see why these guys are taking so much damage in terms of manpower. Are these mercenaries yet? Are these still just regular forces? These are still regular forces. So Krionvar has still not yet started to fight with mercenaries, whereas I believe Adenica and Marhold have been for a while. However, their forces, horribly ganged up and taking a ton of attrition, are taking the siege back again, so that's good. Want to be a bit more careful about the attrition there though, guys. Come on. Meanwhile, Lorent and Vern sent... Oh no, Lorent sent packing. Vern still holding the front line. We are now at 6.5 million losses. Do mages count as artillery here? No, usually they do shock damage. Or at least they have shock modifiers, not shock damage themselves. So, for example, the Marhold General. Take a look at the military, we can see that's a wizard. Walter II, 3 fire, 9 shock, 1 move, and 6 siege. They usually have bonuses to shock and siege. Is what it means to be a mage, and it can go over 6 on both. Oh, we have another battle. Marhold against Cyrenica again, with lots of Adenica forces nearby to reinforce. I don't really know what's happened here to Krionvar. Has Helena lost connection or something? Nope, still here. Just being very conservative about moving into Adenica further. Maybe getting a little concerned by the rate of these losses. Maybe waiting for the next military tech. Although she's just got level 18. So does Marhold. Adenica, however, does not. So Adenica is still missing the Warg Riders, which is going to make them even stronger. Lorent's an 18. Vern's an 18. Arbaran's a 17. Bjornrik's an 18. So Arbaran falling behind a little bit here. Arbaran taking another fight. 100,000 against 77,000. Taking a lot of damage from Vern's forces. Shock is the same. Vern has a better fire general though. 113 discipline on Arboran's side versus 105 on Vern's. Arboran also has the better morale at the moment. Vern coming in with another step of troops, however. Bjornrik coming in with some reinforcements. Lorent moving into blockade again. Probably after the South Flood Marshes fell. Does look... Oh no, Vern's army's just arrived in time. Artillery backline did manage to fill themselves in again, so the reinforcements arrived in good order. We do have Drake's Guard coming in, we have Royal Sard coming in. Arboran still with another 80k to feed into this if they need to. Arboran still taking the worst of this in terms of damage. Arboran's front line is now faltering pretty heavily. Oh no, that's... I keep seeing the grey and I keep thinking that's empty lines, but it's not. Those are the Arboran troops. Bjornrik is brown. And it does look like the Drake's Guard front line is collapsing. Vern's artillery is now on the front line. They are taking a -2 to this battle. They're going to be taking a lot of damage. 3k versus 700. And there we go. Vern is sent packing again. And that is another Arboran victory. Dame's Crown has rather high liberty desire. Is that liberty? Is that independence being supported by anyone? No. They're just pissed. For reasons. So Kryenvar does look like they've moved right back again. They're kind of letting Adenica and Marhold re-siege stuff on the way down again, probably hoping to inflict casualties through attrition. Kryenvar building a ton more longbows. Probably having just pipped the professionalism a little bit again. Meanwhile, yes, there are 42,000 Morodic noble rebels going after Marhold right now. Oh, battle going on. 350,000 Phoenix Empire versus 150,000 Soldier Sat. We've got another 30,000 Phoenix Empire that could join this fight and probably need to before too long. Soldier Sat's armies are starting to collapse. That is entirely artillery. Front and back line. That is what we call La Grande Bataille. 90,000 artillery that was. Anyway, Soldier Sat sent packing there. It does look like the fort's about to fall, and it did indeed. And the pass has been retaken. Invaders Pass is once more in the hands of the Phoenix Empire, and the Phoenix Empire is going to begin their counterattack now. Soldier Sat, 59,000. They've pipped their professionalism again. They're down 19% from when we checked last. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Empire is completely tapped. However, they do still have 350,000 manpower in the bank. And they are probably very heavily reliant on mercenaries. Yeah, they are. Where a Soldier Sat probably is too. No, actually they're not. So Soldier Sat has not started murking up yet. Soldier Sat still has an income of 50, 60,000, whereas Phoenix Empire is now starting to take debt. Even with your land's subsidies helping them out. So Phoenix Empire probably wants a relatively quick end of this war. Both of them on Miltech 18. 7.8 morale versus 6.4. So how are you getting so much? Leading by example reform, citizenry reform, price of a mile, abolish serfdom, foreign support, power projection, a little bit. Army tradition, a lot. Prestige, human military, soldiers of the lake, the unit. Versus these guys, yeah, who have far fewer modifiers. More army tradition though. Meanwhile, Adenica, their capital is still under the occupation of the Wood Elves, however they've pushed them right back at this point. So what are they waiting for? I would say maybe something like Arboran to backstab Adenica again, but Arboran's busy on their own. Esmaria, maybe? Meanwhile, we have another battle here, although Bjornrik decided to call that one off before any reinforcements came in to support. And there we go. Phoenix Empire have just taken yet another fort, although this one's only level 2. They'll probably want to get that one upgrading pronto. Although actually that one's nowhere near as useful. I mean, it's in the desert, so they do have the supply limit reduction of only 14. Unfortunately, this whole area is just kind of nasty to defend. Boy, Scarvo's at war again. What's happening over here? Whoa, Wyvern's Bay under complete occupation. Have you joined the war again? You have. So, Boy Scarvo pieced out once, let Vern head home, waited until the truce ended, because it was only a white peace, it's only 5 years, and then joined the war again, in a separate war, together with Jordland. So the nation with a navy has entered the fray. Now, is that navy gonna get used? At the moment, half of it might be. No. Although they're not too far away to come and help intercept. They would actually be able to sail out here. They have the supply for it. Unfortunately, they haven't explored this. They can't see all of the water there, but they could definitely blockade Wyvern's Bay. And these are Jordland forces as well. So it definitely looks like Boy Scarvo is making their move to try and take out some of the colonizers. And Lorent, despite being in that war, not really having the opportunity to do anything. They've still not taken Vodsend, which is the entire objective of this fight. So they're still sitting here on a minus 33%, 25 of which is because of that. It would be minus 8 otherwise. They're still losing it. Oh, Arboran has sallied out against the Lorentish Navy. And the Lorentish Navy has been sent packing. They lost all of their heavy ships. And for the first time in a while, Arboran has restored naval dominance over the Dame's Head. Meanwhile, the Marhold-Adenica alliance have almost retaken the capital. And it does look like Marhold is about to start another fight. We do have reinforcements to, or rather a flank to cut off the reinforcements. This is all flat land. This all benefits the cavalry forces just fine. Nice little cut-off there. This is only 30,000 against 100,000. They kind of need to reinforce this fight, otherwise it's going to go badly. They decided not to. Interesting decision. Meanwhile, Soldier-Sat has withdrawn fully back here, and Fullershot has been retaken by the Phoenix Empire, meaning that they are now sitting on a minus 10. However, the war goal can now tick all the way up to plus 25, so that could go to a plus 15 total. So a pretty nice reversal here by the Phoenix Empire. Although 2.5 million people have died for this little strip of land. Meanwhile, massive battles going on here against Kryenvar. Adenica and Marhold choosing to really spread their forces out to just inflict maximum chaos if they can. Kryenvar, however, do have a couple of armies around, though they don't seem to be doing a very good job of reinforcing stuff. Like, they could definitely reinforce that. It does look like Adenica and Marhold are losing every single one of those battles, though, except for this one. There are a couple of reinforcements coming in to try and take this group out. However, that's a no general army. Oh no, 5,000 a tick. Oh, that's gonna hurt. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to hit Kryenvar on as many of those armies as possible to try and hit the armies that have no commanders. Because there are no forts here. Krynvar has got to build a freaking fort in one of these 3 provinces. And that would solve so many of their problems here, but they're just not doing it. The really nice dwarves of the east, affected by a horrible curse, taking donation to aid the poor people of the affected holds. Oh, is that a horde curse by any chance? Yep. Yeah, it is. So, the poor dwarves of the east, you know, we need a couple of donations from interested parties willing to sacrifice their own material wealth for the dwarves' betterment. 7 million. Oh no, we're still not quite 7 million. I mean, if we include the attrition, then yes, it's 7 million. Meanwhile, Lorent doing some scrying. See what their enemies are seeing. And they can see a lot with that scrying spell. Costs them a bit though. So how's Lorent's economy looking? Their economy is looking fine. It's actually really interesting being able to see what scrying shows. It's just all of their enemies so they can see exactly where the armies are. So this 120k stack, which they're going to move through here, they probably wanted to see what kind of defenses were in that area. Meanwhile, Gnomish Hierarchy. 6 more years until Small Country can go after them again. And we have another battle for the Northern Flood Marches. Is it marches or marshes? It's marshes. 90,000 against 113,000. 80,000. If I take this from Vern's perspective, we'll actually be able to see the casualty numbers, because Vern's involved. Vern have taken a -2 here, but they are still inflicting more casualties on Arboran. I really want to understand why. They have less discipline. Is this really just down to their pips? Oh, because they have the powder slaves now. So it's just suicide bombing. 2-2, 2-1, 3-2 versus 6-2, 3-2. 2-1. So they just have better units in the front line. So this is a bit of a dramatic shift, because Vern has just gone from 100% shock to 100% fire. Do you usually see Ibavar surviving the multiplayers? No. Well, it depends if they're being played. If they're being played, yes. If they're not, no. So during the shock phase, both sides do about the same damage. During the fire phase, usually Arboran does better, though this time around they didn't. Well, their fire resist is 1, so it's all or nothing. If they get a good die roll, then it's great. If they get a poor die roll, it's terrible. Like that. Oh no, that was a shock phase. But I think... no, it's not Lorent. Although Lorent does have a couple of cavalry in the fight now. I mean, the Gnolls still do extra damage on shock. It's just not as much. However, Lorent and Vern do have 300,000 men in this fight. $3,000 a tick now in that shock phase. Ouch. I mean, what we probably do want to do is take a look at Vern and see what their shock modifiers are. And Lorent, for that matter. Meanwhile, Lorent coming in with another 100,000 troops. And we can see that Arboran has another 70k just north of it. And after this, I'm fairly sure that we will have hit that 7 million mark now. Some more countries in the war. Small countries in a war. Oh yes, they are. Not sure that's allowed. In fact, oh, they were allied from the start. Maybe it is. Because there is a rule about allying and then calling someone in mid-war. But if you're already allied... Probably. 6,000 to tick there. Ow. On Vern's side. And there we go. The first defeat of the small country. They arrived just too late and they're about to suffer a stack wipe. Welcome to the war. Here's a knife. Now fall on it. $2,000 to tick losses. Ow. Oh no, and that's their artillery stack too, which has no general. Stack wipe! Meanwhile, Adenica and Marhold just lost another big battle there. Krynvar being a bit better at bringing the full force of their army together. Marhold actually starting to move into Krynvar territory a little. How are you managing these counterattacks? Krynvar's down to just 19% professionalism. They've actually drained that pretty well. How? They've inflicted 500,000 more casualties on them. That's how. And also 230,000 casualties in attrition to just 21. So these guys must have really good attrition modifiers to increase the amount done. And also, here we go, this is the kind of battle that they're winning. 6.4 morale against 6.7. Although Krynvar is just bringing in so many more troops right now. This is Humban Chance though, this is their wizard. And as we get later into the game, having wizards in battles gets more and more dangerous for them. They can and will just get shot. Meanwhile, Soldier Sat starting to attack through the other direction. Verkal Gulen standing by, ready to resist the invader. Meanwhile, in the New World, we've got Amberstrand forces facing off against a Vern naval invasion, probably one of their colonies. So what's Yordland doing at the moment? Hanging out in Wyvern's Bay, taking a bunch of attrition. And by the looks of things, keeping their morale... Oh no, the maintenance is up, so why is your morale so low? Oh, they must have just changed unit type. Yeah. Alright. Meanwhile, Van Rahar sent packing. We've got Ovdal Kanzad coming in with their forces. And it looks like these guys pulled back. They didn't actually fight them though. And then that's a whole bunch of mercenaries. No, they must have just changed their template as well. Have they just gone to Tech 19? No, 18. So what is your infantry line like? 211422. So the Myrasa Manable would be really good at resisting like a Denica or the Centaurs. Which is probably why they have so much shock resist. The Manable and the Teresian system. Shock resist. Massive shock resist.